You've got people you've brought in that maybe you didn't recognize the patterns yet of who are the best. One of the ways we do it in salespeople in all of my companies, I learned this from a partner I had years ago who passed away. We know that we need somebody in that position. I want somebody in that position that cares, that connects with people. But if they care so much, sometimes they just accept limitations. If I accept your limitations, then there's no growth for you, right? There's a sale's always made. Either I persuade you what's possible, you persuade me what's not. Yeah. So you need someone with ego strength who can take rejection. So what we do in our companies, we have a standard process. We put out an ad, let's say, that says looking for the very best influencers, top of the line, world class, nothing less, great opportunities, great economics. Call only if you're world class. And then they call and they say, I'm calling for this job. And they talk for a few seconds and we say, oh yeah? Well, you don't sound world class to me. The person says, well, can you tell me about a job? No, tell me about you. And within a few seconds, we usually hang up the phone. Now, we do that with everyone, even the most talented people. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we're working for the guy that'll call us back, and he'll say, oh, there must have been a bad connection. You disconnected from me. We said, no, we just weren't getting it. And we'll hang up again. The person will come 3 times and we'll use humor or connection or break our pattern. That's the person we now take to an interview. When we do the interviews, we do the same things. You get rejected so many times going through our process that only the absolute strongest ego's there, but we're also looking for the strongest caring. So we look for someone.
So this is very interesting on many levels that Tony Robbins runs this program. And I'm going to dive into why I think this would work for him. And I think it's a phenomenal filtering mechanism. However, I don't think this would work for 90% of the business owners out there. First, I think this really requires a strong brand. He has a global brand, global reach. A lot of people know Tony Robbins. A lot of people respect him. He's one of the foremost experts in his field and of this century. So he's able to get a lot of leads in his interview funnel. Whenever he posts a job, he's able to get a lot of leads in it. And when you get a lot of leads, it's easier to filter. Versus most business owners, they're not able to get a lot of people. Let's say they're not able to get maybe 1/10 of the amount of applicants Tony Robbins gets for his. So when you're working with less ingredients per se, it's harder to use the same recipe. I think there's a phenomenal recipe for success, but if you don't have the ingredients in there, one of which is having a huge lead magnet being Tony Robbins. Another thing that he said in there is economics, phenomenal economics. That means he's paying really, really well. And so if you're not paying really, really well, it's hard to make people want to fight to get through the process. They'll just say, hey, even if they're a phenomenal salesperson, they'll say, hey, it's not worth it. I'm not going to be paid enough. And that's something that you need to really have a huge brand and be able to pay top dollar or above top dollar. That's something to think about as well. Another thing that makes this makes Tony Robbins have a different ingredient is it's going to be a bit easier to sell Tony Robbins courses, Tony Robbins conferences, products from Tony Robbins than it is to sell other products. Once again, because of the brand. Therefore, contrary to a lot of salespeople like to go to things with super high margins or things that are really easy to sell. Why? Because just because you're the best salesperson in the world doesn't mean you want necessarily a harder job. You want a job where you can get paid really well. You want a job where maybe you're selling something you really enjoy. But if you have the choice between selling something that's easy to sell and something that's hard to sell, why not sell something that's easy to sell, especially if you're getting paid the same? So understanding that is another part of the ingredients that Tony Robbins has. And he wasn't born with this. He built this for himself. So I don't want anybody to take this as a shot. Like, he built this from the ground up himself, and he went through a lot. I have tremendous respect for Tony Robbins. He went through a lot. He had people embezzle for him, etc. And he built his business. The things he has that has led to him being able to create this formula may not be the same things you have. So therefore, don't necessarily copy people's formulas if you don't have the same ingredients. Take the time to build an ingredient, build that big brand, build high margin products, build a loyal customer base, and then you can start implementing these top level formulas. Just make sure it matches what you have. With that said, I also want to speak to the people who are applying for jobs. This is a way to show you how you can break through and what's really required at the top level. Because one of the things we often see is people quit, right? Over and over again. So seeing somebody who's resilient, especially somebody who's resilient in sales and is going to keep calling back and going to use humor and not going to take it personal, that's a great salesperson, right? And that's something someone almost every top company wants. All right, with that said, this is another video from Italian Advisors. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything that you'd like me to speak on or any videos you'd like me to react to, feel free to leave that below in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you and your loved ones.